pump that pump. Kevin, pump this pump. Click. What's up, everybody? It's time. It's Sunday night. This is the All Things Fantasy Grounds talk show. Welcome, everybody. Yes, we will be playing games afterwards when the show ends. Let me start with our disclaimer, which I always like to give. All Things Fantasy Grounds talk show is meant to teach and help, but the opinions stated by those of us on the show are not that of Smiteworks USA LLC or Fantasy Grounds, even though our guest tonight is a member of that staff, who we will introduce in just a moment. Before I get started, let me say hello and ask how they're doing to each of my co-hosts, and let's start with Lady Shell. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I've been online all day. We had a meeting at FGC in the morning, and then this afternoon, Leroon and I did a stream on Fantasy Grounds Unity Beta line of sight, and now here I am here too. So, hey, my headphones are glued to my head.
That's very good. Furied Fate, how are you?
I'm doing good. I was just saying off stream, or was it on stream? Anyways, off stream. The first case of coronavirus 30 minutes away. Woo, scary. So we'll see what happens.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Robin, how are you?
I'm good. I've been busy all day. Work, work, work. How are you?
No one ever asked me how I am. Thank you. You're new. These other ladies don't care. I'm doing fine, actually. Spokane has 16 cases of reported. Not Spokane, Spokane County, which is about half the state, has only 16 reported cases and 0 deaths. So I'm pretty happy about our level of coronavirus. Although I haven't been out of the house since June, and that's just a little joke. Our governor has not mandated like they have in California and New York and I think 2 other states that you're not supposed to leave your house. They suggest it, but they haven't mandated it. But I don't live. I live that way anyway. I just stay home. Anyway, forget all that, everybody.
You've been self-quarantining yourself this whole time.
I came up with the phrase social distancing when I was 9 years old. I just didn't know it was called that. But yeah, stay the fuck away from me is what I've been telling everybody my whole life. All right, let's get to our guest. Who has to be thinking to himself, what have I got myself into? We would like to welcome Josh Watmough from Smiteworks, everybody. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well.
Excellent. We're so glad you're on the show. We want to talk to people and let everybody know about what you do for the company. And you're a relatively new person, less than a year maybe? When did they bring you onto the staff?
Yeah, I came on last summer.
Last summer. Okay, so yeah, it's been about 8 or 9 months or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, you joined the team right before the Alpha event in Florida in July, right? Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. I think just about a month before. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And Josh also has his own show on the Fantasy Grounds Twitch channel that he does some map making stuff on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so you guys should definitely check that out. We do tweet that out from the Fantasy Grounds account to remind everybody about that. So if you need to be reminded, you'll see announcements on the Twitter channel if you follow that about 15 minutes or so before each show. So give us a little background on you as far as like how you came to gaming and how you came to be an artist, and just tell everybody that might not even know who you are a little bit about yourself.
Sure. You like my whole life story?
Yeah, whatever you want to say, sir. Anything. Well, there you go. Somebody wants the entire thing.
To it.
Well, I got into actually like tabletop games like RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot very young. So we're talking maybe like late 70s. And I played for quite some time in my youth, and then I kind of lost track of it. Most of my adult life, I spent tattooing, actually.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah. I didn't know that. I had totally no idea about that.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I actually started tattooing in New York, and I worked there for quite some time. And then I'm actually from Maine. And I moved back to Maine and I opened up a shop here, and I did that for quite some time. Once I got to a certain point, though, you get kind of burns out on customer service,
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with the public can be a little bit tricky at times. So I decided to, just take some time off. And my daughter had gone away to college, and so I ended up uh, playing online D&D sessions with her and some friends. And I started drawing maps and whatnot for it, and they were like, "Oh, this is awesome!" So I started to put out some actual products, and it just kind of steamrolled from there.
Oh, very good. Well, that's crazy that you I knew nothing about the tattoo artistry. It totally makes sense, because I look at your drawings
Yeah.
and I'm like, yes, he's just been doing this on people's skin. What's the difference?
And when you met me, I do have a lot of tattoos.
Hey,
Oh,
me
really?
too.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, now that you said that, I'm snapping back to talking to you in that hotel, and because as you all know, Josh and I were in a hotel together in Florida, but that's a different story. Yeah, you do have a lot of artwork, and so I'm assuming a lot of that is self-drawn, right? You did that yourself.
No, people that I've worked with over the years.
Oh, okay. Have you done any tattoos that you did yourself on your own body?
Yeah, actually, that's you kind of have to be your own first customer, right? Like,
Now, okay, so since you said that, is the tattoo that you did on yourself now the same, or have you worked over it?
oh yeah, I have I have a lot of layers. Let's just
Excellent. I love it. Cool. Well,
What was can I
yeah, go
can I
ahead.
ask him what was
Mhm.
what was the first tattoo you got, or what is your most like meaningful or important tattoo that
That's a good question. The first one that I got, um, yeah, I don't even recall like exactly what it was. It's more, after a while, things kind of blend together, and I do have a lot of
right?
them. And I think that you get to a certain point where it's less of a I don't want to say that it's like less meaningful,
Mhm.
but I'm sure it's the same with anything that you do. Like the first time you do it, it's probably like super important, but by the 700th time, you're like, oh yeah, it's just Tuesday.
Yeah,
Aw.
that's super funny
Okay,
because
fair enough.
for some people, like I have exactly one tattoo, so I'll always, I don't know that I might get one more. I'll explain in a
Mhm.
minute, but the point is that I would remember that, and but asking somebody who has so many is like, I'm sure when you wrote your first sentence as a child, learning how to read and write, that was important. But if you ask anybody what was the first sentence you ever wrote, they would have no idea what that was.
Sure,
Right. So
exactly.
yeah, it's the same thing. I have the Star Trek command insignia on my left arm, and
Oh,
I
very
got
cool.
that when I was 50, and Star Trek turned 50, and I turned 50, and I'm thinking about when Dungeons and Dragons turns 50, because these are both important things in my life. I'll get the ampersand on my right arm.
Oh,
So we'll
yeah,
see if
that's a
that
good idea.
happens. Space Force, how dare you, Engorgio. Hold on, everybody. Slash ban Engorgio. Just kidding. All right. Super interesting. So now, how did you? I became aware of you completely independent of Smiteworks because I backed a Kickstarter that you did.
Hmm.
That was I've done so many. Is it Town and Country? Does that sound familiar? Or am I totally screwing that up? What did you?
Yeah, it's a town and cityscapes.
Town and Cityscapes. Yeah, I did that,
Mhm.
and then I looked at your last name, and I was attracted to your last name because I personally am last name sensitive, as my spelling and your spelling.
Yes.
So I remembered your name, and I'm very bad at remembering stuff like that. But in my brain, your last name got singled out to me because of the unusual spelling. And then later on, you got hired by Smiteworks, and I went down to Florida and met you, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is that same person. And again, I also recognized the artwork because the Kickstarter had the artwork in it.
Yes.
So how did it happen that Doug and John brought you onto the team? Like, how did that all take place?
Well, it's kind of a funny story, and I didn't really see it coming. I had been having a product line through Fantasy Grounds for a while, and I was actually having a current Kickstarter going, and I reached out to them just for like some promotion, and Doug just kind of came back and he said, "Well, would you consider just coming on with us full time. And I said, yeah, that sounds great. And we did a couple of interviews and whatnot. And, the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, that sounds like what happened to me.
Yeah.
Even though I must stress to everybody that Josh is an actual employee. I am not an employee. I'm a hired contractor. So I'm not an employee. So don't run back and say that Rob said he's an employee, because I get in trouble for that. And I'm not an employee. But Josh actually does work for Smiteworks, and he's one of the, I think, maybe 10 staff members now.
Yeah, we have 10.
10. Okay, good. I'm trying to keep up. Well, that's awesome. So, and I know you love that job because you're basically just drawing for money, which is the whole goal, right? That's just so awesome.
Yeah, that's the whole deal.
So guys, if you have questions for Josh in the Twitch chat, go ahead and type them. And I'm assuming everyone's watching, and that maybe somebody typed a question already. I might have missed it, but you can ask him anything you want. And I will ask, is there anything that you can safely say that isn't a secret or anything that you're involved with project-wise that's coming up that you'd like to tell? And there may not be something. I'm not asking you that because I think I know there is. I'm just asking it generally. But anything coming down the way that might excite people for what you're working on?
Well, what I'm currently working on is my main focus at the current moment is I'm doing a lot of video production for the Steam release. I actually made a reveal trailer for Steam, and now I'm in the process of making some other videos. So that you guys will get to actually see some additional kind of content that I can create as well.
Oh, that's awesome. So I'm at English Rose LLC, which is Josh's website. Yep. They wanted to see some of your artwork, so I'll scroll through this a bit. Sure. But you guys can and I'll put that link in the chat too, so you guys can check it out on your own if you'd like. Question: what is Josh's? This is from Diablo Bob. What is Josh's favorite D&D adventure that he's played on Fantasy Grounds?
That I never get a chance to actually play. I run a game every week, but I never get to actually be the player on that side of it. And currently I do all homebrew content.
Oh, okay. And I was just going to ask you what you're running, but yeah, it's all homebrew. Excellent.
I know that feeling, Josh. I am always the dungeon master, never a player. Ugh.
Yeah, that's a curse.
It is. Forever DM.
That was when I started my channel. I was always the dungeon master, and now I'm not a DM in any of my games. I think Schmo tried to post a link, but it wouldn't let me. Here, Schmo, I'll permit you so you can post your link. Next question is from Svenster. He says, do you draw any sci-fi maps like for Starfinder?
Well, I have not done any yet, but there will be some in the future. I did, however, make a complete sci-fi theme for Fantasy Grounds that will be eventually put out there for you guys as well.
Oh, very good.
Okay, I have a question.
Go for it.
Okay, Laroon asked me to ask this. He wants to know if you're working on any custom themes for Unity.
Yeah, there's actually I've created so far quite a few. Jen also made a couple, and there's going to be a couple more in the works as well. So there's going to be quite a few new themes that will be coming out.
Awesome, thank you.
Linsman wants to know what your dream project would be to work on.
Oh, my dream project. That's a tricky one. I don't know. I have a constant kind of need to create. And so I oftentimes, even if inside of projects themselves, I will come up with new and things that kind of perk my interest. And so I don't think that there's any one particular kind of project that I find more appealing than the other. Inside each project, you have a certain boundary, and I really find the most satisfaction is coming up with creative ideas inside of boundaries. So I don't think that there's any one particular type of thing that I think would be my ultimate. I find a lot of enjoyment in each one.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a great
I
attitude.
like that.
I like that a lot. I can't recall ever hearing anybody who's been asked a question of what's your dream thing to do about any subject anywhere on any TV show or radio show or whatever. There used to be a thing called Radio Kids or any place. I don't think I've ever heard that answer from anybody. That's fantastic.
Hmm. Well, good.
Also, I have a personal question. Your website says copyright 2023, and so my question is, and this is a safe space, you can tell us, what's it like to be from the future?
It's pretty good, actually. And typos never happen, so it's awesome.
that is awesome. And I want to talk to you off show about a little bit of time travel stuff that I need to get done, so you can help me with
Okay.
that. I've got many things I need to correct. Yeah, this is awesome. Just looking at the front page of your website. I mean, people are probably frustrated. Stop! I want to look at that, and I'm just scrolling and and I'm letting the automated screens that you have go on here. But this is just, I mean, I can't imagine there's anybody out there who would look at this and just not go, this is awesome. I'm a huge fan of Mike Schley. Do you know? Yeah. And your style is in some ways very similar to his, but I just looking at your maps and your side views and just everything you have here. Oh, you have token packs. Yeah, it's just crazy. I love it. So I was super excited when they brought you on, because I knew that Jen, when they brought Jen on, I know her background is art as well, but I knew she was going to be more like marketing and that side of the graphics department where it's about like logos and images and newsletter stuff and all the stuff she does. But when they hired you, I was like, oh, this is maps. This is like, that's what I'm into. So I was very excited about that.
Yeah, definitely we have completely two different kind of ways that we approach things, which really I think works out really well. I oftentimes will bounce something off of Jen and be like, hey, what do you think of this? Because she does come from a very different kind of artistic background. And I think that complements each other really well.
Yeah, I agree. They want to know, since you're from the future, they want to know the lotto numbers for this week.
Oh, I can't tell them because that would
there's rules, you guys. There's rules. You can't break the. I tell people the lotto numbers all the time, but then I tell them those might not be the ones that get pulled, but those are valid numbers.
They will happen eventually.
Yeah, they are lotto numbers. They might not be the winning ones. Well, good. So, what? Let's see. What else? What other? Do you guys have other questions for Josh? All of a sudden, I ran. Okay, good. I ran out of steam.
Well, so first there's a question from chat from Diablo Bob again. And the question is, have you ever had someone tell you about your own work as if they didn't know who you were?
Oh,
like, have you ever, hey, I love this art. Have you heard of this person? And they don't realize they're talking
in a positive way.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Whatever you do, avoid Josh Watmough. I can't imagine anybody would say.
Has it ever happened?
I don't think that I have anyone ever approached me about something like that I've actually done. I have, however, told a story to somebody and then later heard them telling the story as if it was them that did it.
Oh no!
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Oh, that's equal parts hilarious and disheartening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
Mean, as long as it's a good story, I don't
right. I thought it was a compliment.
They say the best form of flattery is imitation.
That's right.
Or in this case, theft.
Yeah, perjury.
Perjury, right. Like, can you imagine a court case where they're like, get finding somebody for perjury, but the author's there like, oh, I'm so flattered,
I take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Ooh. I have a personal question for you. Have you ever done any sort of maps that are like, I was looking when Rob was scrolling through them, and I saw a lot of them are very beautiful, very great, very useful. Have you ever done anything more on the kind of like weird or like out there side, like flying cities or like cursed waters, anything kind of crazier?
I did make a map pack for Fantasy Grounds that is all hell based. So it's
Ooh.
all, yeah, it's like rivers of blood and fires and barren landscape. So that's a little bit out there.
Yeah, I
Are you
like that.
saying
I'm gonna
his
have to
current
check that
work
out.
is too tame, Robin?
No, that's not. I'm just wondering if there was anything just kind of more out,
Fight,
on the
fight,
weirder
fight,
side.
fight. You guys
Just
are
out
funny.
of curiosity. I love your art already. Like it's amazing. So I
Oh,
want to
thank you.
buy more.
It is really. I mean, I obviously backed the Kickstarter when I saw it because it was awesome. And that's a compliment because I have a Kickstarter problem. I don't back every Kickstarter, but I back like a lot of Kickstarter. I think I've done over 100, and so
Oh, wow.
I started about a year or two ago. I actually, it doesn't sound like it, but I started to get picky. I started to be like, okay, only if I really want to do it, instead of just crazy going for it. So when I saw the English Rose stuff, I was very, like I said, the style of it. It's very. I keep going back. I'm scrolling. I don't know if you're watching the stream, Josh, but I keep going back to the map that is the. Let's see. Does this one have a title? It's the one
like
of a
a lake.
harbor with a bridge over the entrance. That one.
Oh, the river
yeah,
break
so
map.
pretty.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I actually did that for. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there was a YouTube show that was WWE wrestlers that were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that map was actually for that show.
Oh wow, that's funny. No, I did not know that. So I put the link in the chat again. I'll put it one more time, you guys. If you want to go to this website, EnglishRoseLLC.com, then you can check out Josh's work that he's been doing. And how long have you been? How many years has it been that you've been doing like RPG drawings and fantasy stuff?
I'm going to say this might be my 3rd year of drawing them.
Oh my God, I did not know you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say like 10.
Well,
Wow.
I've drawn and painted my entire life, right? And so it's kind of a funny transition that I did when I started to draw these, and I drew it all on paper first, and then I used to scan them in. I've recently kind of transitioned into doing it all digitally, but so my early stuff is all completely hand done, and you can definitely kind of tell when you see the way that the art is kind of put together. And I think that bringing that into the digital kind of realm, of that like hand drawn, kind of maintains a certain type of feel that you don't get in a lot of modern maps.
Right.
Kind of like film photography, taking the actual negative, scanning the negative in, so you get that beautiful like grainy texture.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you do on most of your current stuff, the majority of what you currently work on, do you do digital stuff, or do you use a tablet and draw on it, or how do you do? What's your process for that?
Yeah,
Well,
now I do it all on a graphic screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
so what like tablet do you use, program do you use? Say if somebody else wanted to do map making
Sure.
to your close to your quality, what's your go-to?
I work almost primarily in Photoshop. I use a lot of different Adobe software because I don't just do a lot of drawing stuff. As I said before, I do some video things and some animations and other things along those lines. And so working in Adobe makes it extremely easy. I can share the information between the programs, which kind of it's a blessing and a curse at the same time because there's a lot of other programs I do like to use, but I work primarily in Photoshop. The actual screen that I use is nothing too fancy. I think it's like an XP pen, 22-inch monitor, and but being able to draw directly on the screen is makes my workflow and the amount of quality as well as the speed of all of the content just so much easier on my end.
Yeah, I saw, I was looking at those drawing pens and to try to do maps and stuff. And then
Mhm.
as I was looking at it, this was about a year ago or maybe 2 years ago, I was, researching and pricing. And then I was like, wait a minute, I don't fucking know how to draw. Why am I looking at any of this? I just need to
I can
buy
teach you to
stuff.
draw.
Well, but
I can teach you how to.
that would be okay. Well, so okay, we're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm going to get to these questions in the chat, and then I want to know maybe there's a class you would do. Okay, do you do commission work? Caesar wants to know. WLM John in the chat.
I don't have any extra time whatsoever.
That's what I figured.
Damn.
Have you ever drawn?
Let me just erase that.
Svenster wants to know: have you ever drawn characters or people?
Oh yeah, sure. I've done lots of stuff. Over the years, I have at one time or another probably worked in almost any sort of medium or any sort of subject matter. So I've done lots of characters. I actually started to put together a series of images that you could build your own portraits and characters in Fantasy Grounds. So you could kind of like place in a particular head shape, and you could pick a whole bunch of different eyes and noses and hairstyles and mouths and that sort of thing. And my hope was that we could eventually maybe figure out a way to make that into your token, but that might be a ways off.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. It sounds doable, but yeah, it sounds like it might be a ways off. All right, so my heart's beating really fast now, Josh, because no one in my lifetime has ever said the phrase to me, "I can teach you how to draw." So what did you mean exactly by that?
Oh, I can certainly teach you how to draw.
Wow.
It is,
but more specifically,
you seem so confident. I mean, that sounds to me that's like that's you saying that to me, and me hearing it is like someone saying the same. It's the same effect on me as I can teach you how to be an astronaut. Like, what are you talking about? How do you know how to teach me how to do that? How would you do that? Would you do it as a class, or how would you accomplish this?
Yeah, I've done quite a lot. I actually, for a long time, I worked in the school system here and did drawing classes. And and also in my tattooing profession, I apprenticed a lot of people. And drawing is just a skill, just like anything else. And with the proper kind of way of thinking about it, and a little bit of practice, I can definitely teach you how to draw.
All right. Well, let me just publicly say I'm in. And I'm sure that there's probably a dozen or more people in the chat right now who are like, yes. How do I, is there a class? Where do we sign up? What do we do? So we should definitely work that out. I don't, how would you do it as like a video class or an online session, or how would you accomplish that? So we can, I mean, I don't want to back you into a corner, but I want to let people know how they can.
Yes, he does.
Like a Skillshare class.
Sure, I could do a stream with you, Rob, and we could do some drawing classes.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. I'll make it happen. Everybody, just calm down. I'll make it. Look, yeah. Everybody in the chat's like, yes. So I appreciate that offer, Josh. I'm so excited. I'm gonna need a few hours or a couple days to calm down, and then I'll get with you and we'll work that out how we want to do that.
Certainly.
But thank you for that offer, because that's amazing. And if we're able to do a stream and you and I get on there and you teach me and I draw something and it's even passable, that will be your first miracle on your way to becoming a saint with 2 miracles.
Okay.
So
deal.
I don't know if you're religious, but I happen to know to be a saint you have to conduct 2 miracles. Somebody told me that.
Oh, and that's my first one.
And it was probably a nun when I was little that told me that. Yeah, I'm super excited. Okay, I'm going to maybe let the other co-hosts ask you a few questions while I literally calm down, because I can't believe people probably think I'm overreacting, but no one's ever offered to teach me a talent. And so I'm super excited.
I do have a question about your art career. Before you did digital media, what did you start?
Before I actually worked digitally, yeah, I did everything completely on paper. So, and I've drawn my entire life. So the drawing aspect of doing a lot of the stuff after the fact was less of a hurdle for me than more along the lines of, here's a really funny thing about doing maps, right? And it's kind of the true statement by a lot of the things that you draw. We create an image of what we want to see rather than what it should actually be. And you kind of have to think about when you're doing a drawing, especially in something like this, is that the you break it down into your shapes and your silhouettes, and you do all of the different type of design work that's necessary for the image. But we really want to make the image when we're doing a map to be kind of a representation. It's always like a symbol of what it really is supposed to be. And what we do is we transition that into some like a middle ground between, like if we take a tree, for example. If I'm drawing a tree, the transition from what a tree actually looks like to the really basic symbol of what our brain kind of picks up on, of what a tree is. We want to find that little middle ground in there where we get the most amount of contrast with this just enough kind of pattern recognition in there to bring it to the forefront of what it actually is supposed to be. And that's kind of like the whole like map drawing kind of situation. And I think that starting on paper really helps you identify where that line is between complexity and the simplistic kind of nature of what your map should be like. I don't know if I kind of went off on a tangent there
No, no,
about it.
that was awesome.
I loved it.
We do have
I like
another
origin
question in the
stories.
chat from Lensman 1986 would like to know, do you have a preferred aesthetic that you preferred, like comparing Forgotten Realms versus Ravenloft versus Dragon?
Oh, that's a good question. And I think that similarly to any other kind of problem solving that we want to do, each one poses its own challenges. And I think that the aesthetic of the design is less important about the subject matter and more important on the I don't want to say like the cleanliness of the design, but you kind of want to, like I said before, you want to find that common ground between complexity and the simplest kind of shape that you can make to convey what you're trying to represent. So I guess I don't have a favorite in there. Some are easier to convey, like straight lines and rigid shapes. But I think that they all work really well, and they all kind of bring their own challenges and also the areas in which that they excel.
Awesome. Now on your website, you can go to the shop, and yeah, these all seem to be $25 or $29. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give away a prize on the show, and whoever wins, I will go to Josh's website, or I'll give you money so that you can go to buy one of these packs that he has on here. It looks like the highest one's $30, right? So
Yeah, I think so.
I'll give somebody $30 in cash money, and trust them that they're going to go to your site. Or no, I guess I'm going to have to, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know how I'm going to enforce that. But anyway, my point is I'm going to give away,
How about this? I can actually just, whoever wins, I can give you a link to the actual download, and we can do it that way.
oh, well, then there we go. Normally before the show, I discuss with the person, do they want to give away anything? And I didn't discuss that with Josh, so I didn't want to force him. But he just offered everybody, so he's the man. That's how it happens.
There we go.
Let's do a contest here, and then we can keep talking. Well, I'll set up the contest. So it is going to be a keyword raffle for an item from English Rose, and then I will set
By
up.
the way,
Oh,
where did you come up with the name English Rose? Like, is there a particular meaning you picked that, or?
That's another good question. I'm not. No, there's no particular meaning. It just kind of popped out, and I went with it. Like the Tudor rose.
Mm-hmm.
all right, guys. So in the chat, if you want to enter the drawing, it's Josh's last name, which I'm going to teach everybody how to spell right now. Watmough. And if you spell it wrong, you're not going to get entered. So I'll leave this up on the screen so people can see that their name gets in there, at least until it runs to the bottom of the list. But yeah, it looks like everybody's doing it right. So enter that. We'll let the timer run for another minute and a half, and I'll draw one name, and I will give that name to Josh so he can award your prize. And by the way, thanks again, Josh, for doing that. Totally awesome.
Yeah, you bet.
Cool. There was another question in the chat. Did we do that one? Diablo Bob, how did you master Photoshop, experience class, trial by fire, sacrificing a goat, or selling your soul?
All of the above.
All of the above. So you gave him the opportunity, Bob, to just tell you all of them, and then now he doesn't have to explain it. And yeah, someone else said, can anyone truly master Photoshop? Which actually is quite a thing to say, because there's so much in that program. Josh was kind enough to take a few minutes with me about a month or so back and showed me how to do some token stuff, and even sent me a PSD file that I believe was entitled Rob's Token Stuff or something like that. I was super excited. So yeah, and I'm self-taught in Photoshop myself, which means I know like the three rudimentary basic things that anybody who's ever opened the program knows how to do. And I've done all my slides for Twitch and for this show and everything just by piecing it all together over 4 years. But if somebody asked me, "Oh, Photoshop, what can you help me?" I'd be like, no, I'm not your person." So to know all there is to know about Photoshop is a whole accomplishment in itself. But to be able to do art in it and, you know, make some of the maps and the graphics that you do and that other people do is just fantastic. It's crazy. I love it. All right, let's see who the winner is. I draw the winner, and the winner is, boom, Herbman555. So congrats to Herbman. What you should do, Herbman, is send me a personal message in Discord with your email. I think that's all you need, right? Josh's email? Or do you need anything else from them?
Yeah, email would be great, and I will send them a link to the download.
Okay, so send me a personal message in Discord, and after the show, I'll make sure Herbman to get that to Josh so that he can award you your prize. And thanks again, Josh, for doing that, and congrats to Herbman. So that's awesome. We try to give away some kind of prize on every show. By the way, for those of you watching after the show ends, as a reminder, we will stop the stream and wait 5 or 10 minutes and restart it again, and we'll be playing Jackbox TV games. So everyone's welcome to stick around for that if you'd like to do that with us later. Did I miss any questions in the chat? Is there anything backed up? Guess not. You guys don't think so?
Okay. No, I don't think so. I have a question.
Okay.
Josh, do you use your own like custom brush sets, or do you use somebody else's custom brush set in Photoshop?
Yeah, I do a combination of the two.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I have a little problem of making brushes, so I make a lot of them. I have this thing where every time that I go somewhere, I'll be like looking at a wall and I'll be like, "Oh my God, that's a great texture." I take a picture of it with my phone. And so I have like thousands of files of reference material, and I can turn those into brushes. And yeah, it's a constant process.
It's like your little addiction.
Yeah, it is.
So, because like I am a very newbie beginner artist, and sometimes I like getting other people's brush sets. So I've bought some over the years from other people just to see. I don't know how to make them. I think that's a really cool skill. One of these days when you're doing your show, or if you do a thing with Rob, I think it'd be really cool if you showed how you make brushes.
Absolutely. I can teach you how to make some brushes, no problem.
That would be so awesome.
So guys, apparently we missed a couple questions. If you have a question, guys, in the chat, or if you have one that didn't get asked, just retype it in the chat, but make sure and put the word question before it so that we kind of, because, you know, as the chat's scrolling by, there's a lot in there and sometimes you don't see it. But if you have a question, put like caps question and then ask your question, and we'll try to get that to Josh so he can answer for you. Okay. I think I calmed down from earlier. I'm gonna. I mean, I don't know. Somebody, I can teach you how to be an NBA basketball player. That's what I heard. That's what I heard when you said you could teach me to draw. It was just so fantastic.
You're gonna dunk it.
I'm gonna dunk it, baby. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see if anybody gets any of these questions. Oh, here we go. What's your favorite feature in the Unity that you had a hand in creating? In Fantasy Grounds Unity, I guess they mean.
Well, I didn't have much a hand at creating anything inside of Unity, but I really do like a lot of the new image features that Carl has done in there. It is actually super fun to make maps, I think, inside of Unity itself. And the way that you can paint with images and handle a lot of that complexity, like so simply in there, that's definitely my favorite.
Yeah. I think that's a big reason. The line of sight and the map ability, the drawing maps are the two biggest draws to the Unity software for sure.
So you can actually make maps on the fly now.
Right.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I think Doug was on with Dave on Friday was showing a little bit of that, but he's also done videos on YouTube and stuff. Lensman 1986 says, "Who's your?" Sorry, that was Lensman who asked that question. WML John, also known as Caesar, says, "Josh, do you have a favorite artist besides yourself?"
Oh, favorite artists. These are tough. I have a whole bunch of people that I really look to at certain times. I a lot of like Japanese artists, like if you are into like classics like Horiyoshi and Kuniyoshi, Yoshitoshi, like those guys, those old woodblock printers, I think that their art style was just like amazing. More modern type stuff, I would say maybe like Maxfield Parrish.
Ooh.
Okay. It shows you how uncultured I am. I do not know any of the names you said.
I know who Maxfield Parrish is.
Maxwell Parrish, is that a guy?
Yeah, Maxfield Parrish.
Oh, Maxfield Parrish. Okay, I'm gonna put him up on the screen so people can see.
He was a painter. I think he was from New Hampshire, and his art style I really appreciate.
Oh yeah, I see the influence. Yeah, I totally see it. Yep. Man, he's got some great stuff too. Look at that. Oh, see, this isn't really like Fantasy Grounds material, but I love a good house on a cabin on a snowy hill kind of a thing. I love that kind of stuff. Okay, there is another question. Well, I think Darth Vex's question, you kind of answered that. Okay, good. So, very good. Well, I'm a little overwhelmed by all this. You're a great guest, Josh. You have a lot to show and a lot to say, so that's awesome.
Oh, well, thanks. It's fun to be here.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad. And by the way, a personal thank you to you. Doug and John have both been on the show before that I berated them and asked them for 15,000 years. But when I put the open call out to every... Oh, and I'm sorry, Dave has been on the show a couple times too. So Doug, John, and Dave. But when I put the open call out, and I know everybody's busy and I know it's Unity, but you were the only one who responded. So thank you.
Yeah,
I basically asked anybody who, and I don't, I've met Carl and Ryan and everybody else. I've met everybody, but I don't know people that well. I'd say that out of all the people I met in Florida, I probably know you the best because I've had some different interactions with you. And I know they got their nose to the grind, but nobody even responded. So thank you so much for even responding and coming on the show. And I'm sure all the audience members appreciate it because everybody likes to see new stuff. And I guess we've had a couple people on before that are in the art space, but nobody as ensconced as you, I don't think. And also you work for the company that anybody who's watching this show, that's the reason they're watching this show is because of Fantasy Grounds. So it's nice to have somebody come on and represent. You know what I'm saying? Oh
yeah, well, it's awesome. I'm really happy to do it.
Lensman would like to know if you're doing any future Kickstarters.
No, all of that is done. I'm working full time for Fantasy Grounds content, and so I don't have time to do anything else. I am, however, putting together a whole slew of custom emotes for Twitch. So they'll all be available on the Fantasy Grounds channel, which should be pretty funny.
Oh, cool.
I can't wait for those.
That's gonna be. Well, I'm the Twitter guy, or you said Twitch, yeah. So I'll find a way to get those on Twitter too somehow. I don't know how I'll do it, but I'll copy and paste and steal. I don't know what to do. Diablo Bob wants. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna teach you to draw, so you can.
That's right. I can just do it myself. I can't even. This is all just unreal to me. Still, it's not gonna be real till it happens. Diablo Bob wants to know, do you watch our Saturday Avernus game? I read the question before I mean, I should have read it before I asked it. Yeah, Josh has been in the chat a few times, I'm sure. He comes in my channel sometimes. And
you guys, when do you guys stream on Saturday?
Saturday night stream is at 9 to midnight Eastern.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it, but I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, Drake DMs that. Bob is one of the players in it with me, and yeah, we're doing Avernus and we're in hell right now. So that's what I think.
Very cool.
Yeah. Darth Vex says, question: does you find it ironic when people buy your Fantasy Grounds competitors, buy your art on a Fantasy Grounds competitor store? Oh, that is an interesting question.
I don't have any. There's nothing that I've created for Fantasy Grounds that's on another store. There's stuff that I had created before I worked with Smiteworks, and that is still on other platforms. I thought it was kind of rude for me to just kind of shut down old personal work.
Right.
But there is absolutely nothing that's on that I create for Fantasy Grounds that would be on another store.
There you go. And McClancy's marveling at my fact that at the fact that I just quoted a time zone that wasn't my own. But yes, I do understand how to add and subtract numbers up to and including 3. So yes, I did it. And by the way, McClancy, thank you for the cheer earlier before the show started, and also to Lady Shell for the cheer, because I didn't get a chance to announce that because we hadn't started yet. All right, well, before we let Josh go, everybody, any final questions from the ladies that are my lovely co-hosts? Any last questions for Josh before he goes?
When do classes start?
That's a good question. I guess we'll have to figure that out after the fact.
Yeah, and by the way, everybody, I will work with Josh on that and find out what he wants to do. And then once I find out what that is and when it is and how it is, I will definitely let everyone know. So don't worry about that. Probably the avenue that I would let everybody know that is in my Discord server and my Twitch channel and my Twitter. But depending on what he is doing and how formal it's going to be and how many people he wants to include, that may also go out on the Fantasy Grounds channel. I don't know. We have to discuss it. We have to work out the logistics, and it's only going to be whatever's convenient for him. So that's how it's going to work. Anybody else that is a co-host want to ask or say anything to Josh before we end the show?
Do you have like an Instagram where you show off your art or things that you're working on?
I'm not actually on any social media. So
what?
First of all, that's super smart. I know.
I just looked on everything.
If I didn't have the job I have with Smiteworks, I would probably also not be on any social media because it's a necessary evil. That's how I describe it.
Do you have like an art station? Does that count as social media?
I might have like I don't think so though. I might have had some like really old ones, maybe.
Fair enough.
Probably the website. Oh, by the way, I'll put that in the chat again. Anybody came late, here's Josh's English Rose website. All right. Well, Josh, so as we end the show, is there anything that we didn't cover? Anything you'd like to say besides your website? Any shout outs you'd like to give for yourself? Anything at all? You're totally open to say anything you'd like, sir, to the audience and to anybody who might be watching this on YouTube later in the future, like in 2023 when you're from.
Oh, right. Nope. I think that pretty much covers everything. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm so glad that you asked me to come on, Rob.
Well, I
What about the
appreciate.
times for your shows? The 2 days a week that you do shows on the Fantasy Grounds.
Yes, I do map and image creation, and that's on. I do it Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then I do one on Saturday afternoon, and that's on at 3 to. I usually run till maybe like 6 on Saturday,
Oh,
and
so
I've
that's a
also
really long show. Okay, cool.
yeah. I actually I do the first half of the Saturday show for battle maps, and then on the second half we're creating new themes. So I'm teaching everyone how to do not only the art side of creating a theme for Fantasy Grounds, but also all of the XML coding and everything else that you might need to do.
Right. So that's that's a if you guys watch the Fantasy Grounds channel on Twitch, instead of showing up Fridays at noon, also add Tuesdays at 7 and Saturdays at 3 for those are all Eastern times, everybody.
That's
And
correct.
yeah, and I tweet those out and we do post it on Facebook as well, but there's an inordinate amount of people in the Fantasy Grounds community who neither have Facebook or Twitter, so they otherwise wouldn't know, but we try to let everybody know, and it's in the newsletter too. So you can, but to sign up for the newsletter, you have to go to Facebook. So that's their newsletter sign up process is something that I'm not too happy about. But yeah, you do have to go to Facebook to sign up for the newsletter. But it's really cool because Jen will dump a newsletter in your email box every single week, and not only does it have the show announcements in it, but it's got the Fantasy Grounds Friday tip that I do, and it's got all the new items put into the store and everything that's on sale. So if you aren't subscribed to that newsletter, get subscribed. And you can, I think the easiest way to do it is to just go to fantasygrounds.com, and I'm gonna check right now to see if I'm a liar. fantasygrounds.com. Oops.
Yeah, it's there somewhere. Probably
It's on the upper right. Yeah, like I think there's even a link for it. So let's find out if I'm right. I thought I saw this the other day. Fantasygrounds.com. Help. Sign up for newsletter. Right. So if you go to fantasygrounds.com, go over here to the right, click on help, and then down here is sign up for the newsletter. And if you click that link, it will take you to Facebook. So even if you don't have a Facebook account, I think you can still go there and sign up. But because all you do is punch in your email for the newsletter right here. Boom, like that. So I definitely suggest everybody sign up for the newsletter, and then that way you won't forget about show announcements for Josh's shows. Okay. Yeah. Well, good. Thanks so much, Josh, for coming and joining us. And should he elect to do so, guys, we'll have Josh on in the future as well. We want to have him back as often as we can. And like I said, I'll let everybody know what we're going to do in the way of him doing videos or a Twitch show or whatever we're going to do for the drawing too. Yes. So excellent. I know we're also excited on behalf
I'm so excited.
on behalf of my co-hosts and Josh Watmough himself. Thanks everybody for watching, and we will be back in a few minutes to play games. And until next time, good gaming, everyone.